What's going on, guys? I hope you guys are having a great day. Today's topic, we will be talking about now not being the best time to open a local game shop, okay? Because it seems like smash and grabs are rampant right now. Store owners are really being faced with a very difficult, near impossible task of keeping all of their products secure from robbery attempts, burglaries, break-ins, just damaging their property in general. It's really tough out there for people that are store owners. We have several instances we're going to talk about today. We also have some news with GameStop, which many of you probably already know about. And then briefly, I'm going to talk about Blackbolt White Flare. So right now it is raining cats and dogs. I don't know if it's like that where you guys are, but I've discovered my first obstacle with this house is that the previous owners did not install the best drainage systems. These gutters are, this house has a second floor. We're on it right now. This house has gutters that are 50 feet high. I am not used to dealing with that. So I'm either got to get a really tall ladder or get a gutter crew out here, but that's just the first part of it. The second part of it is that there are pools of water. Now it is raining really, really hard, so this is maybe to be expected and something not to worry about too much. But if you are a homeowner, please, drainage is extremely important. If you are letting water pool around your house, it will erode the foundation, it will ruin the property. And it will be a lot of the reason why you have sitting water underneath the house, even if your house is built on a slab, which this one has a crawl space. But if your house is built on a slab, seriously can lead to some major issues by not having proper drainage methods set in place. Okay, let's move forward. It's raining cats and dogs right now, and it's really beautiful, but also I am worried about it. We've got some pools of water in the front of the house and near our garage, and I just don't understand why the previous owners did not set better methods in place. All it is tubes and drainage pans that drain away from your house. That's like the most basic, essential thing, and they don't have that here. So that's the first thing I gotta do is install better drainage. But anyways, guys, so let's go ahead and talk about the crazy amount of theft going on right now. Pokemon has gotten extremely valuable. It's no mystery, no surprise that Pokemon right now is a booming, bullish market where everything is headed straight to the moon. And right now, prices are exploding for a lot of rare, valuable cards. But even the cheaper modern stuff, you're seeing major price explosions with that. You know, we had the Seismitoad from Blackbolt being one of the best artworks, but also now almost being a $300 or already a $300 card. It's a perfect example of how even modern product, like any store can get their hands on that modern product. So even modern stuff is really, really valuable right now in this market. It doesn't have to just be vintage stuff. Although there are still a lot of amazing deals you can find in modern, you can still get $2 to $3 cards in modern. And I wanted to just say that and touch base on it because I think from the last video that I did, people think like, well, there's still a lot of great deals to be had out there. Sure, there are a lot of great deals to be had out there. But also, a lot of the older vintage products and cards have exploded in value up to the point where people are willing to rob others. People are willing to stick people up at gunpoint. People are willing to bust into stores and pretty much destroy the windows and their displays, smashing and grabbing whatever they can. So in Florida, we had a game shop that had $30,000 worth of product stolen after smash and grab in Florida. The owners, I think it is a woman-owned shop. The owner is absolutely devastated. And guys, I think it will be a group effort. It's a community effort, and sometimes it works out that these shops kind of put out a list of their higher end tier items, and if you guys see anything, you can alert them and let them know. But basically, there were a lot of expensive items stolen. Also in Massachusetts, There were very high-end items stolen, gold stars, vintage Grail cards stolen from like first edition Collectibles. It's a three owner-owned shop in Massachusetts. They had a ton of stuff stolen. These are people that have been Pokemon fans for the last several decades, and it's pretty sad to see that their product, not only is this stuff that's being traded in, but it is in a lot of ways the personal collection of the owners that is in these display cases. And when I look over the surveillance footage of a lot of these smash and grabs, it's very evident that these guys knew exactly what they were going for. They went for the stuff that hurt the most. They went for the highest value items. They knew exactly what they were looking for. These weren't just people that were thieves that heard, okay, Pokemon's really valuable right now, we should bust into this shop. These were people that probably had been going to the shop. So I think, the potential suspects are probably people that have been shopping around for a while and basically had scoped things out. And I think with the way things are moving right now, I mean, I talked about it, it's getting so difficult to afford some of these cards that, yeah, people are getting to the point where they're, it's horrible that this is happening, but am I shocked? Am I surprised? Should there be more levels of serious security at these game shops? Are they doing enough to protect themselves and prevent this from happening again in the future? I just don't know, because frankly, for how easy it was for people to bust in and steal this stuff, it's kind of ridiculous that you would leave some of these more high-end cards in a shop. I understand it's a shop, you want to leave it overnight and open the next day, but maybe an alternative for a lot of these, smaller shop owners would be to take all of their really expensive slabs, put them in a briefcase, go home with them at night. Now, that still doesn't fully solve the problem, because then you have people that might case the area. They might wait out for you at night and then, stick you up at gunpoint to take your slabs from a briefcase if you're leaving that way. Maybe leave with multiple people. Maybe you should have a conceal and carry and have a briefcase of your slabs that you leave. Just, there's gotta be other ways where they can foolproof this from happening again. Maybe having a safe, maybe a heavy-duty gun safe in the back of these shops drilled into the ground, that would be a seriously good method to protect your slabs. I just don't understand why it's going to take so long. Like, how many times do you have to see shops getting busted into for people to not learn their lessons as shop owners? If I was a shop owner, you bet your ass I would be all over security. I would be making sure that there's no way anybody can steal that stuff. So, again, my condolences go out to the shop owners, people that have lost a ton of money, a ton of value. Maybe they had an insurance plan. Hopefully they got some kind of payouts. Hopefully there's some type of protection. And this is, conspiracy here. I don't think this was the case with any of these shops. I'm just putting it out there that, another nefarious thing that could be going on is that, people have major insurance plans on their collectibles or on their store. They have these store insurance plans. I don't know how any of this works. I don't own an LGS, right? I'm just saying this could happen too, where people have these insurance plans and a thief goes in to steal the highest value items that really are stolen by a friend of the LGS owner, who then claims losses on insurance and then gets the cards right back. I think that there are other things that could be at work, but that's like deep conspiracy theory, and that would also be like me if I were to say the names of the shops and say all the names of the shops and all the owners, slandering people's names. That is not my goal. I'm just saying that there's a lot of moving parts to this. I think when you have older Pokemon cards that are becoming like basically high-end artwork, right? There's a massive market for this. And when there's a massive market for something and there's a lot of money flowing in and out, you are also going to get a massive amount of crime, and a new level of theft, right? Now, we've seen this at card shows. We've seen people getting robbed at card shows. We've got Collecticon coming up here in Charlotte in just a few days. Come Saturday, I will actually be heading out to the beach with my family. So I'm really, really excited about that. It does kind of suck that every year I've gone to Collecticon here in Charlotte and I will be missing out on that to go to the beach with my family. It was just the best time we could plan to go to the beach. There wasn't really a way around it. But with how things are going with the level of theft, the level of crime, the level of scandals, the level of schemers, the bullshit, the pure bullshit going on in this hobby, which, maybe the average collector is like, none of this stuff, my world is perfectly fine. But in the grand scheme, there's a lot of bad stuff going on in Pokemon. And my goal is not to just highlight that stuff, but just make people aware that this stuff is going on. And then if you are going to a show, whether you have, $100 binder or $1,000 binder, just be careful out there. Just watch your stuff, be very aware and conscientious of the fact that there are bad people out there looking to rip you off for Pokemon cards, right? This is no longer just like, oh, grown adults fighting over Pokemon cards. This isn't that anymore. This is now grown adults scheming to rip people off for very high-end, very valuable TCG products, more or less, right? This is no longer just Pokemon, right? We're not in 1999 where this stuff is really worthless, right? We now have Charizard, our orange lizard buddy, is now worth, $300,000 in a PSA 10. Can you imagine going to a show with a card of that value? Even my PSA 9, it would be crazy to go to a show with that card now, right? A year ago, I took all of my most valuable cards to these shows, and I loved it. I loved showing people my collection. I loved showing the vendors what I had, the heat that I was packing, but that doesn't matter anymore. I will not be taking high-end cards to shows anymore unless I genuinely plan on selling them, trading up with them, doing some kind of major deal with them. Because I don't trust where the hobby's headed right now. I don't trust what's going on right now. And it's made me a lot more cautious and a lot more aware. And originally I was going to keep a bunch of my sealed product at our other house that we were going to rent out. I was going to lock off our garage and use it as a storage area. And I was going to leave 2 cars there. But now I am renting the entire house out. I am taking all of my TCG product is now in this house, safe up here, locked away in the closet. So I'm being much more aware myself of the stuff going on and trying to safeguard in any way that I can. But yeah, so we had a $30,000 smash and grab that was in Florida, small shop in Florida. We had a $50,000 smash and grab that happened in Detroit. Similar thing, surveillance footage shows somebody busting in, smashing stuff, and grabbing, being very, very picky with the best cards they were grabbing. Definitely seems like it was a collector and not just your average burglar. It seems like it's a collector gone rogue that just said, you know what, I'm never going to be able to afford these cards. Why don't I just take them? This is the reality. This is the stark reality of what's going on in this hobby, how people are feeling, and the lengths that people will go to get this stuff. It goes far beyond just stealing from Walmart or Target or people that, you guys know what I'm talking about. You go into Target and there's boxes that are opened up. The cards are everywhere. You can tell that somebody just ripped it right then and there. Like, no respect. They can't get no respect. So there was a smash and grab in Detroit and Florida. Massachusetts, I think, was the biggest one. I think they had $100,000 worth. First Edition Collectibles, I believe, was the name of the store, owned by 3 owners. They took major losses. They were posting some of the inventory that they had and to keep a lookout for it. I think I saw a Gold Star. I think I saw a Skyridge Charizard. I mean, these are cards that I've been talking about on this channel for pretty much like years now. If not an entire year or several months, talking about how prolific and iconic these cards are and how amazing it is that I finally got to own them in my collection. And these are the types of cards that got stolen from the shop, and no doubt from someone's personal collection that ran and owned the shop. So I feel so bad for these places because some of them have been around for a really, really long time. And it's really shitty what's going on with the hobby. The amount of hype and the amount of demand right now. The amount of demand for Pokemon product and the fact that it is leading to this. So if you are thinking about opening a game shop, this is not me saying you should never do it. But if you're going to do it, you really need to learn how to safeguard your product and make sure that these kinds of stories don't end up happening to you. Okay, moving on from there. GameStop has released a really bogus, crappy product, in my opinion. They're doing these mystery boxes. PokeRev, I didn't even watch his video, but he did a great video opening a ton of them. I have no doubt in my mind that you are not really getting your value back on these products. So regardless of what he opened and what he got, I'm just going to tell you guys right now, in the history of all mystery products and mystery boxes, especially ones done by like MJ Holdings that are at Walmart and stuff like that, there are rare fabricated stories of people getting really high value, high dollar items from these mystery boxes. But the reality is 99% of us, the same way when we open up booster packs, 99% of us don't get jack, okay? Stay away from products like that. Stay away from anything with a mystery name. And my God, we still have so many of these listings on eBay, people selling mystery bundle items. Guys, what are we doing? Just stay away from this shit. Just stay away from it. Do not touch it with a 10-foot pole, in my opinion, respectfully. And then last but not least, okay, I'm trying to remember everything that I kind of brushed up on. Pokemon Pocket is pulling artworks due to plagiarism accusations. So I think that's kind of interesting. We're getting to a point where we can't even trust the artwork that's coming out that has been genuinely done by somebody. So there's that. That's happening in the news. I think Pokemon Pocket is really amazing. I think it's brought a lot of new collectors, but also I kind of blame Pokemon Pocket a little bit for all of the new demand in this hobby. Like Pokemon, you know, the Pokemon company, they're innovating, they're revolutionizing, they're doing new things. They've got this new app, Pokemon Pocket. You know, it kind of, you know, reminds us that, you know, it's not all about what people can get in store. Like, you can't use the same argument of there's not enough product is too expensive. People don't have access to Pokemon like they had previously in the past years. They just don't have the same access anymore. The players can't even get the cards anymore. They can't even play the goddamn game because we are making it collectors, scalpers, flippers, everybody, right, collectively is making it so difficult to even get product. And Pokemon Company isn't making that any better by not just printing this stuff into the ground. Just print more of it. You can do it. Print more of it. There was rumor, and I also had a comment that the Pokemon Company International has purchased 5 new print facilities in the U.S. I don't know how true that is. I don't know if anybody can verify this information. For right now, all it is basically a rumor. But it's like, dude, just print more. But outside of that, what is kind of cool about Pokemon Pocket, and I commend Pokemon for doing this, is not only did it create a whole new revenue stream that some content creators have actually pointed out. Pokey pointed out a long time ago that he felt like Pokemon Pocket, there would be so much money flowing into Pokemon Pocket that really, I don't know if it was Pokey, it might have been Pokey Knowledge. I can't remember. I can't remember who was talking about it. Maybe it was a live stream, maybe it was a video. But basically, the idea that Pokemon Pocket was going to be so revolutionary that it was going to bring so many new global collectors into the hobby, well, not collectors, players into the hobby, that a lot of the money would be flowing into that. But there would be more money flowing into the digital portion of Pokemon than the actual physical card portion of Pokemon. And that's probably going to be true because they just physically probably will never be able to, especially at this point with the level of demand that has increased in the past 7 months, 8 months. It is obvious that they might not be able to even keep up with demand, right? Like I keep saying, like, just print more Pokemon, print more, but maybe the stark reality is that they can't keep up with the demand. I really don't know. I'm not qualified enough to tell you guys. I'm just kind of spitting off what I think could be going on, and speculating, which is really most of what goes on in this hobby in terms of the content space anyways. But yeah, I love that Pokemon Pocket has made it more affordable and more feasible for people to actually get to play the game and get to enjoy the cards. So yes, it is a damn shame that even in Pokemon Pocket we can't rely on the cards being genuinely created by somebody, that they are being plagiarized or ripped off from another idea or from AI. It's kind of like going into the whole chat GPT thing, which a lot of people are afraid of the future of AI and like what it's going to do, making decisions for us. You know, the next thing you know, we're going to have somebody's going to be using an AI Pokemon investing channel, and it's going to tell everyone the best sets that are coming out, and you got to buy this set, and that'll be like the gospel right there. That's my conspiracy. That's my Pokemon investing AI conspiracy. But anyways, I'm trying to think. Okay, and then briefly, I did want to touch base on Blackbolt White Flare. Looking over the set, you know, the end of an era of Scarlet and Violet, you know, what are my thoughts? What are my brief thoughts on the set? It's truly amazing. It's truly a beautiful set. All of these really cool Pokemon that really we haven't gotten to see a lot are being brought up to the surface. All this amazing artwork is being brought up to the surface. There's a lot of good stuff in there. But I do gotta say, you can't ignore the Seismitoad. I mean, are these prices justified? That's another debate, but you can't ignore the Seismitoad. The Seismitoad is by far one of the most beautiful artworks in the entire set. I think that the Reshiram and Zekrom, the silver and all black cards, I think that they are beautiful. I think that their illustration artworks are beautiful. I think, you know, the SIRs are pretty good. But really, truly, I feel like a lot of the demand behind the Seismitoad is somewhat justified, just because excuse me, guys. When you're looking over the set briefly, that card just pops out at you, right? It's not all about Seismitoad. It's not necessarily just about the artist themselves and being diehard fans of Shinji artwork. It's also just the fact that the art is good. The card is good. It's a really good looking card. Even if you're not like me, you're like, Seismitoad doesn't pop up on my radar at all. It's like Pokemon that I would want to have. But even I want to have the Seismitoad card. So, you know, don't blame yourself for falling victim or prey to the fact that everybody is going after that card. If you go after that card, I don't blame you. That card is sick. Some evolution lines that I think are really amazing. The Victini card is absolutely stunning. That card's stunning. The whole Haxorus evolution line. I love that we're getting these evolution lines and that you can put the artwork together and have this, you know, this whole portrait basically of having all the arts together. I think for people that collect raw cards, this is a collector's set right here, right? Getting to have all these cards in the binder together side by side is going to look really, really good for people, especially for people that do have the guts and the balls to go after a master set of this set. That would be crazy. You know, when we compare this to Crown Zenith from the end of Sword and Shield era, I really feel like this set gives Crown Zenith a good run for its money. I really do feel that way. The evolution lines are amazing. So many good illustration artworks. It's a well-rounded set. Because we were moving and I was saving for a home, Blackbolt and White Flare unfortunately got the short end of the stick of my attention. It really just hasn't been on my radar because we've had so much other shit going on in our lives, with the move and everything and setting up the rooms and just getting settled in here in general. The fact that I'm even making videos a couple days after moving in is crazy to me, guys. I mean, I stayed up till, you know, from 1 or 2 in the morning until 6 a.m. setting up this game room. I mean, I really wanted to get back in the swing of things and settle back in and get back to it. But yeah, it really wasn't on my radar, but there's a lot of amazing artworks. I'm blanking out right now because the set is just, it's such a bloated set. There's so much going on with the set. There's so many artworks that kind of makes it hard to recollect the ones that stand out the most to me. But I definitely thought that the black and silver Zekrom and Reshiram cards, they're really cool. They're an ode to the OG Reshiram Zekrom cards. It's really cool to see those in the set. But yeah, I would say the Victini, there's a Victini in the set. Obviously the red Victini card, obviously that's a big chase. The Haxorus evolution line, and there are several other evolution lines. I just am not remembering off the top of my head right now. But I do gotta give praise to the Seismitoad. Overall, I think the set's a really good set. I think it's right up there with the greats of Scarlet and Violet, but looking over all of Scarlet and Violet in general, Scarlet and Violet, we really thought less of Scarlet and Violet when it was first hitting the shelves, and now I think, you know, full circle, we're realizing how good Scarlet Violet, just how good Scarlet Violet era really was. You know, I thought I was such a lucky collector to be able to come in at the tail end of Sun and Moon, but you know, and to see all of Sword and Shield, you know, really I wish I would have been more involved at the beginning of Sun and Moon. I just wasn't at the time. I was still just kind of living my life and like slowly buying vintage Pokemon cards or vintage theme decks. I really just wasn't in tune with what was going on in the modern day hobby. But, you know, I felt very lucky that I got to enjoy Sword and Shield. And I think, you know, equally, I thought, you know, all the newer collectors that are coming in during Scarlet and Violet, oh man, oh boy, these people have so much to catch up with. They missed all of Sword and Shield. That's so many expensive alt arts, right? That's a briefcase. You know, I've got all these briefcases behind me. You guys probably can't see it unless I move my chair. You still can't see it, but they're all down there. I keep all my briefcases down there and the cases in the closet. But that's a whole briefcase of alt arts. You don't even want to get started there, right? Giratina. And we can I'll talk about this in tomorrow's video, talking about Sword and Shield and where Sword and Shield is at right now. Freaking Giratina approaching $2,000 for a Giratina V. Crazy times right now. Anyways, I felt bad for the people getting into Scarlet and Violet that they missed out on Sword and Shield. Sword and Shield era was such a good era, not to rub it in. But I gotta say now, in retrospect, in hindsight, Scarlet and Violet was incredible. It was really good. If you got to be around during Scarlet and Violet, you know, if you got to be around when 151 dropped, right? We opened so much 151 on this channel. If you got to be around for that, truly a blessing, and we're all very lucky to be a part of it. You know, looking back now, you know, I think about the mountains of 151 ETBs and UPCs that I had, and I think like how gluttonous that was and how like just abundant it was at the time. Like it was so easy to get it. You know, the TikTok deals, like y'all remember the TikTok deals and how crazy the TikTok deals were? Like you could get a 151 UPC for $70. It was crazy. Crazy times. It's really been a good year. I mean, despite the hardship and the turmoil of the markets and the scamming and the bad news and me being doom and gloom half the time, it really has been an amazing time to be in the hobby, you know, to get to experience all of these sets. And pretty much up until, I feel like up until Paldean Fates, I think is where things really started to get rocky. It's where I feel like it started to get kind of like, that's where the scalpers started showing up out of the woodwork. That's where it got kind of hard to get this product. I feel like previous to that, I mean, even Paradox Rift was pretty brutal too. Maybe even the hype started with 151, but I don't think it did. I feel like a lot of people discounted 151 when it came out. It came out, it was cool, and then boom, we're on to the next thing. 151, in my opinion, was always the best. It's why we opened so much of it. It's why instead of investing in it and having, you know, 40, 50 UPCs and ETBs sitting up against the wall stacked up, instead of doing that, which would have been an insane investment play, it would have been, I would have ended up basically essentially ripping off a bunch of people. They would have way overpaid in this market for those products, but I enjoyed opening them. You know, maybe the last of an era where you could actually find product like that and open so much of it and just have a good time. Even though you were losing so much money and so much value, right? Like, I had so many PSA 10s come back from my 151 submissions. We got Charizard. I pulled and graded my own Charizard PSA 10 from 151. That was an amazing experience. Like 5-6 Blastoise from 151 that I pulled and graded 10s. 5-6 Zapdos that we pulled and graded 10s. Pikachu's pulled and graded 10s. Giovanni Charisma's multiple pulled and graded 10s. We had a lot of amazing experience with 151. And maybe someday I'll actually get the value back that I would have had sitting on the sealed product from the slabs themselves. But it was a really good experience. And yeah, just my whole point is, like, now that we're at the end of Scarlet Violet era, as much as I've been really critical of where the hobby is at right now, because I've got to keep it real with you guys, like, the hobby is kind of in shambles a little bit. As much as that is going on, you know, in the back of my head, for the most part, Scarlet and Violet was a great era. And I'm lucky that I got to be a part of another awesome era in Pokemon. I feel like right now, no matter, like, if you get frustrated with Pokemon, no matter where you're at with this hobby, give it a chance, give it time to cool down, give it time for the dust to settle. Because when you stick around in this hobby long term, you see a lot of things. You're able to assess certain patterns and certain things that happen, and you're able to better gauge what kind of decisions you need to make, both financially and just for your personal collection goals. Yeah, it's a pretty good era. It is a sad time for people opening these shops, though. One would say it's almost better to be a vendor, but even the vendors are dealing with theft on a different level. Despite the fact that there are cameras at all of these shows, people are still dumb enough to get caught stealing at the shows too. But yeah, where there's money flowing, there's going to be nefarious activity flowing as well. I mean, it's to be expected. But anyways, guys, keep an eye out for any high value, rare vintage cards that may be a part of the inventory of these shops. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. And yeah, trying to think if there's anything else. Nope. Peace, guys. Have a good one. Yeah, and if you are in any Discords and you find a card that's really, really low priced, like it's too good to be true, you know, put that out there, right? Let people know that, like, I think this is a card that was stolen potentially from one of these shops. Because these days, no one's just getting rid of stuff. Nobody's just giving really good deals on stuff. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. It probably is a scam, or it's been stolen and it's getting resold. Anyways, peace out, guys. Have a good one. I'll catch you guys on the next one.